Hello friends, this is MedMiracle Mentor Dr. Amit, and in this video we'll be discussing about a very unique PG entrance exam, that is the PGI Chandigarh exam. It's a very common query as to what specific things we can do for this exam, and in this video we'll try to answer some of these queries, right? So the most characteristic and the unique thing about PGI entrance exam is the pattern, right? This is what sets it apart from the other PG entrance exams. So let's see what the pattern of the exam is. So we have 250 questions, right, and we have 3 hours to attempt it. Okay, each question has 5 options, out of which single or multiple options can be correct, right? So 250 into 5, we have a total of 250 options, and guys, this is the point that you should realize. PGI exam is not about 250 questions, no, it's about 1250 options. Why? Because each of these options is scored individually. Okay, so there is no fixed marks for a question. Instead, it is the options that are scored individually. Okay, so now let's see the scoring pattern. So this is the equation that is used for our scoring in the PGI exam. So in this equation, A and B, so A is the number of correct options in the exam, okay, total number of correct options in the exam, and B is the total number of incorrect options in the exam. Fine. So for a PGI exam, A plus B is equal to 1250 options. Fine. And X and Y, okay, X is the correct options that we have marked, okay, the number of correct options that we have actually marked, and Y is the number of incorrect options that we have marked. Fine, right? So this is the equation. So to understand the implication of this equation for us, let's take a hypothetical situation in which I have marked only 2 options in the entire exam. So one option is correct and the other option is incorrect. Okay, so this scenario where X is equal to 1 and Y is also equal to 1. So this is my score, 1 divided by A minus 1 divided by B. So the factor that determines what the actual value of this equation is going to be is the relative number of A and B, that is the relative number of correct and incorrect options in the exam. So first scenario in which the number of correct options is more, the total number of correct options is more in the exam, that is A more than B, this equation will turn out to be negative. Okay, this equation, my total marks will turn out to be negative, and in this scenario the negative marking is more than 100%, that is I am losing more marks for making one incorrect choice than I am getting for making one correct choice, right? So the negative marking here is more than 100%. The other scenario where the number of incorrect options is more, that is B more than A, this equation will turn out to be positive, and here in this scenario the negative marking is less than 100%. And the third scenario where A is equal to B, that is 625 options each, this equation will turn out to be 0, and here the negative marking is exactly 100%, right? So guys, here is some controversy as to what exactly is the number of correct options in a PGI exam. Nobody knows for sure. Okay, but one thing I can tell you for sure is that the value of A in your PGI exam is going to be somewhere around this. It can be more than B, it can be less than B, but whatever it is going to be, it is going to be close to this number, 600 to 700, Okay, so if we compare it to a NEET PG exam where we have +4 for a correct answer and -1 for a wrong answer, here the negative marking is 25%, right? But for this scenario where the number of correct options is between 600 to 700, in any scenario the negative marking is still going to be way high. Okay, so remember this, negative marking is high in PGI. Okay, you are losing more marks for making one incorrect choice than you are getting for making one correct choice. Okay, now with this thing in mind, let's see one other thing that is very important, that is practicality. Okay guys, it's a competitive exam, we can't help it, it's a competitive exam, it's everything is at stake, right? So with this thing in mind, that there is a high risk, but our mindset should still be that I have to risk it. Okay, I know that the danger is high, but I still have to risk it. Why? Because if I don't mark enough options, I am never in the game. So to give myself a chance, I have to actually mark, right? So rather than going blindfolded and risking the options, I can give you 2 soft pointers here as to how much you should risk it. Okay, so if you take this number of 600 correct options, right, and you have 250 questions, so on an average you have around 2 options per question that are correct, right? So if in a question you have doubt about 2 options and you are quite sure about the other 3 options being incorrect, right, so you can very well go ahead because there is a more likelihood of them being correct, right? So keep this thing in mind, that there is on an average 2 options are correct in a question, right? And the second thing, if you ask any PGI ranker, the number of attempts that they give in a PGI exam is still going to be around this number only, right? So even this, the average will come out to be 2 options per question or even more than that, right? So if you are doubtful about 2 options and you are quite sure about the other 3 options being incorrect, right, there is a more likelihood of it being correct. It's actually more difficult to rule out in PGI exam as compared to the other PG entrances, but still it's a soft pointer, right, which we can use before marking the question. Okay, so this is about attempting the exam, right, and the pattern of the exam. So 2 important things in preparation, 2 specific things while preparing for the PGI exam, right? 2 must do things are, first thing is the previous year papers, previous year MCQs. Why is it helpful? Because there are some specific, right, unique topics that are asked only in PGI and they are repeated. They are repeatedly asked in PGI. So if you don't go through the previous year papers, you won't know that these topics exist, right? So it's essential to at least have a look at 4 or 5 previous year papers, right? Okay, the other thing is the mock tests, right? You have to practice time management when you are given multiple options per question, right? So only with mock tests can you practice that. And what other thing that you can do is you can combine these 2 things and you can use the previous year paper itself as a mock. Okay, and you can also analyze your attempt as to what type of attempt is getting you a better score, right? Okay guys, so with this discussion we are clear that PGI is a unique exam because of its pattern and its scoring scheme, and with this thing in mind that the negative marking is high still we need this mindset that we have to risk it to be in the game. And before actually going through with the exam, during preparation, make sure that you have read the previous year MCQs and topics well, because they are repeated in the PGI exam. Okay guys, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I hope this video will help you find some clarity about this exam. Okay, best of luck.